Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rock M Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Bucks Score. Welcome to Portal Mania. It's open. There's more guys in the portal in the first 2 days than there were guys in the portal in the first 2 years combined. Welcome to the new normal. Nathan Hurst, how you doing?
It's a brave new world, and I would like to go back to the old one. There are pluses and minuses, but it's makes for a very busy pre-bowl season. That is for sure.
It does. Calendar continues to be screwed up. There are ways they could fix it. Nobody seems to be interested in fixing it, and the powers that do have the power to fix it are asleep at the wheel. So here we are, going through everything. So a lot of news happened between last Wednesday and tonight, the 11th, at roughly 8:14 in the PM. We're going to go over everything that we know right now. We're doing the timestamp because, again, these things are minute by minute sometimes. If this comes out and huge things happen, we want to let you know, hey, we're in the past. So just work with us here. So let's start off with the transfer portal news. Obviously, the big one that rocked us happened yesterday. Williams Nwaneri, consensus 5-star defensive end from Missouri, committed to Missouri, and a big get for Eli Drinkwitz, choosing the Tigers over Oklahoma. That guy, he is officially in the transfer portal. There are some looks to this. Nathan Hurst, let me just clear the runway and let you go.
Yeah, I mean, is it a bummer? Yeah, absolutely. Do you want as many 5-star guys on your roster as you can get? Yes, you do. Especially guys that you've already gotten on there. Would you like to hold on to them? Absolutely. Is this a horrible, massive blow to the future Mizzou Tiger teams? No, it's not. Now, I think the big win with Nwaneri was getting him to commit in the first place. That's a proof of concept. It shows that Drinkwitz that Luther Burden wasn't one of a kind, that he could bring in other 5-star in-state talent, get them to come to Mizzou at least for a year, feel it out, see what they think about the program, and then at that point anyone's free to move on if they so wish. And Williams so wished. Best of luck to him. It would have been great to see him develop, see the in-state kid, kind of follow in Burden's footsteps and become hopefully for his sake, a future NFL talent. We did not see that in his first year. We didn't necessarily expect to see that in his first year. And it's kind of not really clear if he expected to see that and was disappointed by his lack of playing time. If, this was a money play and he's just looking to make more money, which is his right. If there was a, disagreement among him and the coaching staff, we just don't know. And we probably will never know. But he's not here anymore. And, it's a bummer, but at the same time, this frees up a lot of NIL money that he was getting and was slated to get next year, presumably, as well. So a guy like that who played sparingly, to be kind, 4 games, as a matter of fact, 38 snaps, 2 tackles, 1 sack. That's production that you can replace very easily. And in fact, I'd imagine whoever they bring in to replace that production will have much, much more production coming in. So does this hurt next year's team? Probably not as much as it would seem like on paper. Does it hurt 2 years from now's team? Maybe. If Nwaneri goes on to develop into what his ceiling could be, it could hurt 2 years from now's team quite a bit, because you'd love to have an NFL draft pick rushing the passer on your team. But he hasn't gotten there yet, and he may never get there. So we don't know what his future holds. That's about it. It's disappointing, but not heartbreaking, not crushing, soul crushing. There are a lot of other guys we could have lost, or may lose, that I think would hurt a lot more than this one.
I mean, he was always an upside play. He was a 5-star based off of what he could become, not so much of what he currently was. I know a big knock on him coming out of high school was that he took plays off, that he didn't try super hard every single snap of every single game. And that's a common complaint from a lot of really talented guys at the high school level. They just, they don't need to be. They don't need to be at that level. And they're, they don't need to hurt themselves. They don't need to go all out to show what they can do. So you do find situations where they might have a play or two that they take off. And that's totally normal. It happened to Jadeveon Clowney. It happens to everybody. So he was a potential 5-star. You did not see that at Mizzou. And I'm not going to disparage an 18 and 19-year-old kid. I do know what happened. Again, that's really not anybody's business. I will say the things that he could control, he was not doing a good job with. And the coaching staff took steps in kind, and that is what incentivized him to look elsewhere. So this is a guy who you probably were not going to get it out of him. And, he's going to do it somewhere else. And I think that's fine. Again, the win is the signing day win. To your point, I agree. I don't think we're even going to see it next year. You look at what Missouri was bringing back on as far as proven defensive ends. I mean, if he really balled out, he'd probably be 4 or 4, maybe 3 or 4, but probably 4 or 4 if everything worked well. So I think that played a part of it too. And if you're not going to, we were not going to get it here. And my only request is that he doesn't go to Oklahoma. I think more likely he is going to follow his high school coach to Nebraska. That would be my guess. But I don't know. I don't know what he wants to do. So it wasn't going to happen here. So it really isn't a huge loss because it was a non-starter in Columbia. And really, I was okay with it. I was like, I looked at what we had, and I saw Jalen Brown, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's our guy. I mean, Jalen Brown was talked about all the time by Eli Drinkwitz. Drinkwitz would rarely talk about Williams Narius. I'm like, yeah, we're good. And then Jalen Brown entered the portal. And this is just business as usual. I think this is just something we're going to have to deal with. I know Jalen Brown was a 3-star in some services. He was a high 4-star in others. But he was seeing snaps as the season went on, and I was very excited to see what we could get out of the Alabama native. And now he's out to pasture and going somewhere else. And that one is the one that I do not like. How do you feel about Jalen Brown hitting the portal?
Yeah, losing him hurt honestly way more than seeing Boneri's name go in there. Just because, as you said, seemed like he was slowly earning more time as the season went on, which is what you want to see with a freshman. Is certainly they're not going to start the season, for the most part, playing a lot. But he was working hard. He was starting his way on the field, and had a bright future. We thought as a Tiger. I guess that's not going to be the case. One thing that with both these guys that may have played a factor, the defensive end coach was not the same defensive end coach that they committed to, and that they even signed for in Brian Early. And I have no idea if Brian Early, if that played any role at all, and they stuck it out for a year under a coach they didn't commit to, and then decided that wasn't for them, or it's a pure NIL play, for Jalen Brown. Whatever his decision is, we don't know, but that is a factor. I think that people aren't necessarily discussing is that this is a guy that they didn't sign up to play for, and that's not a knock on Brian Early. I think looks like, by all accounts, doing a fine job as the defensive end coach. But the guy they committed to went to LSU. And same with the defensive coordinator for that matter. Both of those guys went on to LSU. So that's not, that's not to say, but one or more of these guys might also follow them to LSU. Yeah, that seems to be how these things go sometimes. But I think that may have played more than zero factor in at least Jalen's decision here. We'll have to wait and see.
Good. It's just, it's just part of it. The beauty of the transfer portal is that you give guys an opportunity to pick the place that they want to be. And, much like your ex-girlfriend in college when she's drunk, it goes both ways. Sometimes that benefits you, sometimes that benefits somebody else. And this is a situation where it's not benefiting Missouri. But I promise you, they're going to go in the portal and they're going to replace those guys, and then it is going to benefit Mizzou. So there you go, both ways. Yeah.
Yeah,
we had some.
for every Jaylen Brown we lose and sucks, we will end up probably taking someone else's Jaylen Brown and coming back around, promising young player that was showing some flashes, and then all of a sudden hops in the portal, and then before you know it, he ends up back in Mizzou. So yeah, it's and more often than not, Drinkwitz wins, and he turns a profit in the portal, if you will, meaning bringing in more talent than he loses. It'll be interesting to see this year because of the amount of talent that they've lost this year. Is on the whole, at least so far, it looks like it might end up being more so than in past years.
I think Missouri's got a vein right into the Florida pipeline there, like the University of Florida. It took Tyron Hopper, took Chris McClellan, took Trevez Johnson. Like, your team sucks, come play for us. And that he's good at that. Christian Williams graduating this year, Oregon product. Just take him right out. Sterling Webb, New Mexico State. He's a starter now, or probably going to be a starter. Zion Young, Michigan State. Come on down. Like he does a really good job of finding guys. Caden Green, Theo Weiss. Like he finds these guys and he brings them in, and they're talented and they're willing to come to Mizzou. He's very good at it. So, and Missouri's got the infrastructure and the funding to compensate those NIL dudes and make it happen. So yeah, it sucks to see these guys go. I like Jaylen Brown. I thought there was a lot of potential there. Obviously, we all thought there was potential with Williams and Nwaneri. It's not going to be there. And then joining them, of course, we've got Philip Roche, who was no longer on the team for the last couple of weeks of the season, and then, of course the brilliantly named Brayshawn Littlejohn, who I was secretly rooting so hard to break through, so we get to talk about Littlejohn all the time. Both of them hit the portal too. So right now, if you're looking at it from a total transfer portal standpoint, well, not counting all the random walk-ons that have left, you have the punter Orion Phillips, wide receiver Mekhi Miller, linebacker Brayshawn Littlejohn, safety Philip Roche, and then defensive ends Williams, Nwaneri, and Jaylen Brown. Again, just real quick to recap where the defensive end position group is right now. Johnny Walker Jr. is going to be gone. We know that. He's graduating. You are left with Zion Young, Eddie Kelly Jr., Ja'Kai Lane, all three of which who have played this far this year. You have the injured Darius Smith, the Georgia transfer, who injured himself in fall camp and missed the entire season. And then, of course, they will be joined by Dayton Hopkins out of Hermann, Missouri, the Wine Country Winehammer. And then, of course, Jamian Hilson, the 5-star from Cocoa, Florida, which was the latest major 5-star victory, if you follow Rivals, to join Eli Drinkwitz in this defensive back. So that's your defensive end room right now. Surprised they're going to hit the portal for at least one. I think we've all learned that you need at least 4 guys that you can trust, probably 5. And yeah, I think you can almost guarantee that we're going to get somebody out of the portal at this point.
They definitely will. I mean, right now, I think we've probably got 2.5 guys that we know we can trust. And Darius Smith's kind of a big wild card out there that we really aren't sure about. And he could easily slot in there as a guy you trust, but you just don't know yet because you haven't seen it on the field. I'm confident they will definitely bring in at least one more guy. Losing Nwaneri and Brown make landing Javion Hilson that much more important, and kind of makes you wonder, was the coaching staff aware that ahead of time that both these guys were going to be going, and they're able to, be a little birdie in Javion's ear and say, hey, we got, two very large 5-star and 4-star sized holes opening up right for you to slot right on in here. And in a year or two, you'll be right at the top of the pile there in terms of depth chart. So that makes it that much more important that they did land a top guy like that.
Yeah. It is. Well, I'm glad that they did. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a position of importance. Kind of like everything on the lines, but certainly now it's going to be a position of importance. So let's make sure that they nail it, and I can't wait to see who they go after. So let's talk about guys who they're going after. We're not going to cover everything here. If you really care about it, you can go and talk about the online discourse at Rock M Plus, or if you want to do your own sleuthing, you can go onto various social medias and see who the coaches are following. There's a list. We have one on Rock M as far as transfers in and out and projections. Of course, we're talking about that on Rock M Plus. So go ahead and join the discourse where you see fit. But let's talk about two that really piqued our interest. Obviously, last time we talked about Miller Moss, the quarterback out of USC, went through his stats, went through kind of what he was like. There's another quarterback that Missouri's been talking to, and whether it's a plan B or not, unclear. Not really important. What is important that Cal quarterback Fernando Mendoza is in the portal, and Missouri is interested. Nathan Hurst, what do you know about Fernando Mendoza?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. Before today, when it was found out that that he was that Mizzou was he was going into the portal and that Mizzou was interested. Looking at his stats, pretty decent numbers. The thing that negatively stuck out to me though is he took 41 sacks this past year, 41, which is a lot of sacks. Now, does a lot of that go on his offensive line, which was probably not very good? Yes. But there are ways to avoid 41 sacks, even if your offensive line is really bad. So that was a little concerning. Otherwise, it seems like a pretty decent athlete. The Godfather, Bill Connolly, called him as close to a Brady Cook mirror image as you could get, which I'll take his word for that. He did look like a pretty good athlete based on the highlights I was watching. He can move around and pick up yards on his feet. I don't think you would call him a great designated runner, which you wouldn't necessarily call Brady Cook a great designated runner anyway, short of maybe one or two runs this year, but more of a better scrambler than anything. So, would he be a passable starter? Probably. I don't think he's your number one choice. But if you landed on him after going through two or three different guys that said no, and you land on him as number four, I think you'd be happy about that. And I do think he would be the shoe-in for the job at Mizzou. I think he's better than anybody that we currently have on the staff.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He is Brady Cook. Yes, he took a lot of sacks. His offensive line is one of the worst in the country, by the way. Allowed a 20% havoc rate. That's 120th in the country. Sacks per drop pack, 125th. Sacks per pressure, 123rd. Pressure rate, 103rd. He got pressured 25%, or he had, sack percentage was 9%, which for reference, Brady's was 6. His sacks per pressure was at 25%, roughly 25.2%. Again, as a comparison, Brady was at 20.4. Okay, so not that far off. Now, here are the good things. He had a better completion percentage than Brady Cook ever did. He threw for over 3,000 yards this year. Does not throw a ton of interceptions. He had 16 touchdowns on the year, again, at Cal versus 6 interceptions. If you strip out sack yardage lost, okay, take that out, he ran the ball 46 times for 340 yards. That's 7 yards per rush. And not only that, but he had a success rate of 52%, which was better than Brady Cook. And he got a first down on 45% of his rushes, which was also better than Brady Cook. I know he's, playing at Cal is tough, especially at Cal that didn't have Jaden Ott for most of the year. And a pretty porous offensive line. But if you miss out on Miller Moss, who seems like this staff really wants, there are worse guys out there than Fernando Mendoza. And yeah, I do think he's better than Drew Pine. So I'd be all on board.
Yeah. I mean, he would be a solid plan B, I think, if Miller Moss is your plan A. There, as you mentioned, I mean, he's much better than guys, like a Castellanos who, is in the portal now. There's several other names that have been bandied about. He's higher on the list than a lot of those guys. I mean, I might put him at number 6 or 7 in my own personal rankings, but Mizzou's only really reached out to maybe 2 or 3 of those, top guys at the top of the list. So yeah, if that's who they land on, that would be fine. I think it would be more of a legitimate quarterback battle to see who wins if he's the one that's brought on. I think he would win it, but I think you would expect to see a Sam Horn, a Drew Pine, put up a little bit more of a fight, competing for that starting job than if it was Miller Moss. I think he comes in and it's kind of a shoe-in. This is your job, take it, kind of thing. And I'm not sure which is better or worse there. I think you would hope that they would open. The job would be open for anybody to win, which I'm sure they would say that no matter what. But
Yeah.
I think Mendoza would win the job if he did come in,
Mhm.
because as we both said, as Bill Connolly said, he's very very much like Brady Cook, and we know that Eli Drinkwitz loves his Brady Cook.
He does. He's a little bit bigger, 6'5", 225. He looks gangly when you watch him play. He does not look 225, but I guess it's all in his butt. But yeah, he would, for Mendoza, you know, the downside is that he's got 2 years left. And that's one of those. Is it really a downside? I mean, what you're doing is you're trying to create a bridge quarterback here until Matt Zollers is ready, frankly. And so having 2 years left, he will be, so he's a redshirt sophomore right now. Yeah. 22, 23. He redshirted in 22, played in 23, played in 24. So yeah, he's got 25 and 26 left to go. I mean, it's a problem, but it's like one of those problems that's not terrible. Because like, again, if Matt Zollers is not ready to go, if that injury is taking longer, then hey, we still got our guy. And we're good. So it's yeah, that's not a problem.
No,
It would
I don't.
just be acclimating to the SEC. That's really the biggest thing.
For sure, for sure. I don't think it's a problem at all. I think you want somebody with 2 years of eligibility coming in because I mean I think Zollers you want Zollers to come in with the plan to redshirt this next year. Now maybe injuries or make that impossible, and he's the clear number 2 guy, and he gets on the field anyway. But I think the plan needs to be that Zollers comes in, redshirts, fully heals, learns the offense, and then the year after that, then it's open for competition. And at that point, if he's not as good as Mendoza, then you have a better quarterback who's a senior with lots of experience that's starting, and hopefully you can convince Zollers stick it out as a redshirt sophomore. You will be the guy, and if not, then you've got a shoe-in starter that next year, and that gives you then another year to find your guy. If Zollers isn't ready at that point, then once again you've still got that extra year. And if Zollers is ready and comes in and wins the job, or is right there even with Mendoza can transfer again. That's the beauty. If he's not happy with where he is on the depth chart at that point, then he's more than free to move on after that as well. So I think you want a guy with that's I wouldn't even call it a problem, but if it is, it's a very good problem to have.
There you go. The last guy we're going to talk about, and this is more just, oh, that's interesting. Kevin Coleman. Now, I hope that name sounds familiar. You just watched him play 2 weeks ago when Mizzou went to Mississippi State. He was like the only receiver that was worth keeping track of. Had their best performance of the day. He is a St. Louis guy. He is a St. Mary's graduate. And he and Luther Burden seemed to have a little tiff between each other, so they did not both come to Mizzou. But Luther Burden is no longer at Mizzou. And Kevin Coleman, in the meanwhile, went to Jackson State with Deion Sanders. Then he went to Louisville. Then he went to Mississippi State. And now he wants to go somewhere else. Now, I have a little bit of a hesitation on guys who are on school number 3, let alone school number 4. But there's no doubt that he was talented coming out of high school. We had seen him do pretty well in Mississippi State's offense. And he's looking for a new home. And Mizzou needs at least one other proven receiver. Nathan Hurst, is Kevin Coleman coming home?
Yeah, I would take him. I would definitely take him. I mean, four schools in 4 years is certainly something, but I think that's just the world that we live in, and that is not uncommon anymore to see a guy who is at four schools in 4 years. TJ Finley, quarterback formerly of Auburn and NC State and whoever else, is going on his 5th school in 6 years, I think, which is just outrageous to say. So this is not uncommon anymore. That isn't necessarily a red flag, especially because he started a FCS school with Deion. So of course he's going to leave there when Deion leaves. It wouldn't make it. He was way over talented to go to Jackson State in the first place. I think he was a 5-star in his own right. He was coming out was the highest rated Missouri player at the time. And so then he went to Louisville. Okay, That was Scott Satterfield that year. Satterfield left. Okay, his coach leaves 2 straight years, so he's going to leave again. Goes to Mississippi State. That's just a dumpster fire. Who's going to blame him from leaving there? So there are explanations for why he's hopped around. He's very talented. If you watch closely in the Mississippi State game, anytime he touched the ball, he was the one guy, at least the one receiver, that when they would touch the ball, you really had to kind of hold your breath a little bit and hope that the Mizzou defensive backs could rally and tackle, because he has some juice. He's a great athlete. He can make guys miss. He can go deep. He can catch the deep ball. And Mizzou has a really big hole. Well, a couple big holes that they're losing, but I think the biggest hole that they have to fill is that X receiver, that outside receiver that Theo Weiss was. We've got some guys that can fill in for the slot that I think will do fine. But we really need somebody, a real alpha out there on the outside. And I think that he could fill that slot very well. There are other guys in the portal too that I'm sure Mizzou will be going after as well that could do just as good a job. But I think if he wants to come home and the Mizzou coaches want him, then, which by all accounts they do, because they recruited him really hard the first time, then I think it's worth taking him.
Yeah, he's a lighter Luther Burden. While Luther was running around on 5'11", 205, I think is what he ended up. He was 215 at some point. Kevin Coleman's like 5'11", 180. But he was also Mississippi State's most targeted receiver. 106 targets on the year, 74 catches. Next closest as far as targets was their tight end, Traore, who had 58. So, he almost doubled him up. And he had 40 more catches than the tight end. He finished with 932 yards and 6 touchdowns. So let's do some quick comparison here. He's a 69%, nice 69.8% catch rate, 8.8 yards per target, 12.6 yards per catch. He has a 53% success rate. He gets a first down about 56% of his catches, barely, not even 2% drop rate. Yeah, and he was targeted the most on short routes. So what he did was kind of be on the outside and take stuff that was within 5 yards, mostly lined up in the slot. So it sounds like he's more of a slot guy, but if you can fill that and maybe bump, Marquise Johnson likes to be on the outside, Josh Manning likes to be on the outside, James Madison, Courtney Crutchfield, they're more outside guys. Like, Daniel Blood's a bigger, there are ways that you can work around this. And I'm sure Jacob Peeler can figure it out. I'm just like, do we want him? I know that the Luther barrier is cleared. Does he want to be here, and do we want him? I mean, he's got the talents. It's a 1-year rental. Yeah, I'd be on board.
I think I say yes for sure. And actually, I would put him more as instead of comparing him to Luther Burden, I would compare him more. I would say he's a better Mookie Cooper. And they're losing Mookie Cooper as well, and that role in the offense, which is also kind of a slot, but not a kind of a move around, almost gadgety player, which he's better than that. But I think he's because he's smaller than Burden. He's bigger than Mookie, but he's smaller than Burden. He's very elusive though. Burden was more kind of break tackles, and arm tackles aren't going to bring him down. He's more of a juke you out of your shoes kind of guy. So I'm all on board with Coleman if he wants to come here, if the coaches want him. Now, they certainly have more insight than I do into the player he is and the type of guy he would be. But if they're on board, then I'm on board.
4 rushes, 11 yards. So Mississippi State did not really hand it off, but he's got the ability.
Just like Mookie.
Yeah.
same success rate anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. It's very interesting. Another hometown guy coming back. Okay, so let's move on. We are in bowl season. I know we're already talking about the portal and all the roster building for next year, but there's still one more game to play, and we get the COVID remake special. The Music City Bowl selecting Missouri and Iowa out of the Big Ten. Nashville, Tennessee in the winter. Big Ten opponent, Missouri's hat. One of the worst offenses in the country, one of the top 5 defenses in the country. In Iowa, this could be a sleepy game that gets done in 2 hours. How do you feel about this matchup?
Music City Bowl itself, good bowl. If that's kind of probably the one that you'd pick, or I would have picked, just in terms of location and prestige
I was gonna
level
say
based on
Vegas.
yeah. Other than the Vegas Bowl, I think that would have been great too. But um, bowl itself, fine. Mizzou has not been there. They're supposed to have been there before. In COVID, they're supposed to play Iowa in the Music City Bowl, and that didn't work out for reasons that we all understand and know well. So we're getting that one again. I really didn't want that to play that game in 2020, and I don't really want to play the game in 2024 either. This isn't it's not necessarily a diss on Iowa as a program. They are a very consistent, good program, but they're awful to watch. And Mizzou, we already have our well documented complaints about how Mizzou plays and how kind of ugly that Mizzou likes to play. This is kind of Iowa is Mizzou times 3, times 5, times 10 in terms of making it really ugly and slow and limited possessions. And so it's not going to be a pleasant viewing experience. And we'll talk more about the actual matchup closer to the actual bowl, but it's not super exciting. Iowa's offense is horrible, and they lose their starting quarterback, and they lose
their backup,
and they're one of the best running backs in the country. In Caleb Johnson. Is it Caleb Johnson? Caleb Johnson, really good. He's going to the NFL. He had 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns. That's a lot. He's not playing. So it's going to be a very picked over offense that already isn't very good to begin with. Now their defense, really good, always really good. Their special teams, always really good. So it's not going to be fun. I think Mizzou will win, but it's going to be one of those, can we just pull our fingernails out really fast instead of making it torturously slow and be done with it quickly as opposed to a slow, painful death.
Yeah. So Missouri and Iowa, do you know how many times they've played in the past 100 years?
At least once, but I couldn't tell you any more since the Insight Bowl of 2010. I couldn't tell you how many more times other than that.
So they have played 13 times total. One time in the past 100 years. That is wild.
For two programs that are less than 500 miles apart, that is pretty wild.
1892 was the first meeting, 24-0 Missouri. And then Iowa won the next year, 34-12. Missouri won 1895, 1896, 84-85. And then Iowa won in 96. Missouri won in 1902, Iowa in 1903, Iowa in 1906, and then Missouri in 08, 09, and 10 of 1900s, right? So before World War I. And then 1910 was the last time they played. Up until, yes, the aforementioned bowl game. Where Blaine Gabbert went 41 of 57 for 434 yards, but needed to go 42 for 57 because that last pass was an interception that was returned for a touchdown, sealing the game for Iowa. That was Blaine Gabbert's last game before he jumped to the NFL.
So play. This will be the second time that they played where both teams did not ride the train to the matchup.
There you go. Or walk, or take a horse.
Or take a horse, yeah. A carriage. A horse-drawn carriage.
Iowa has 5 national championships.
I'm sure they've all pre-World War II.
They
had one in the 70s. Hayden Fry won one with them in the 70s.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Well, anyway. Ricky Stanzi was the Iowa quarterback that beat Blaine Gabbert, by the way. That was a long time ago. Former Kansas City Chief, Ricky Stanzi.
He loved America.
Marcus Coker was Iowa's running back. Marvin McNutt was Iowa's leading receiver, 2 receptions, 63 yards. TJ Moe, the jerkhead himself, 15 receptions, 152 yards. Missouri's leading rusher was Kendall Lawrence, 6 carries, 40 yards. That was right at the end of Missouri, like, let's throw it a bunch. Then kind of got away from that there. So, it's going to be, subpar offensive effort. I just guarantee you that. And it's not going to be a shootout. 1st to 17 probably is what it's going to be. Or
whoever muffs a punt. Iowa loves to make their opponents muff punts. I don't know what they do, but they somehow have some magic dust they sprinkle on the football, which makes their opponents muff punts. It's outrageous, but it's a winning formula for them for decades.
Maybe it's cocaine. I don't know. Do you know how many years? Because I've already started my research. You know how many years Kirk Ferentz has been coaching Iowa? Do you know which year this is?
Oh, it's got to be like number 28 or something. It's closer to 30 than it is to 20.
You are right. This is his 26th year.
All right.
Do you want to take a stab at his record? How about winning percentage? What's his winning percentage?
Winning percentage. It would probably have to be like 65, 650, maybe 700.
Okay. Final answer.
Yeah.
Winning percentage is 62.38%.
62. All right. So
he is
a little bit.
204 and 123 at Iowa.
A lot of games. He's still got a ways to catch, the Paternos of the world, but winning 200 games is impressive no matter who you are.
That's true. 1998 was his first season. That's 1 year after Independence Day, the movie. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, so it's they're a little bit better on offense, but not by a lot. So that should be interesting.
Well, especially losing their top skilled position players. Mizzou's going to be without a few guys as well. I've already talked about Burden. Armand Membu, we have not mentioned yet. He has declared for the draft, and
But he's playing though, right?
No, he said at least in his announcement, he had said that he was going to skip the bowl game to prepare for the NFL draft.
Well, crap.
That could change, but I don't think he will be playing in the bowl, which hurts for sure.
Yep.
That said, I'd rather be down the right tackle than the starting running back and the starting quarterback, and the second string quarterback, for that matter. But that certainly will make things more difficult. But as far as I'm aware, from what I've heard, other than the guys who have entered the transfer portal, Membu and Burden are the only two that I've said they're not going to play. So it sounds like everybody else, Theo Weiss and Marcus Bryant, and any of those, Johnny Walker Jr. Has said expressly he will play. So that's good. So pretty much everyone else, I think, is on board.
Yeah.
For now, that could always change. We've still got 3 weeks till the game, and someone could change their mind at any point.
December 30th. Yeah, we got a ways to go. Armand Membu, good for him, man. Like, if he can get it, go get it. Sucks for Mizzou next year. I can tell you that. There's really not a whole lot of great replacements right now that we know of. Obviously, some young guy might step up. Caleb Pyfrom, you want to be a second-year sensation. Javen Richardson, if you want to step up and be right tackle. Brandon Solis, this is your moment. Like, you have some options. It's just, selfishly, we'd like for him to stick around, but also go get paid. Go be a professional. I'm all about that, even if my team has to take a minor hit for him to do so. So there we go. You want to talk scheduling? Since
sure.
We have no control over the calendar, and why not reveal the schedule while everything else is going on at the exact same time? Missouri's 2025 schedule. Let's run through it. It is very intriguing.
6 straight home games to start the season, which is like, come on. As someone who at least does his best to tailgate for every game, 6 in a row is that's asking too much. I'll be at every game, but there's no way I'm going to get out there and set up a tailgate for 6 consecutive weekends. I think my wife would run me out of town if I tried to get her out there for 6 straight tailgates. I'm not sure how that happens. That's not great. Not only is it not great just because that's crazy, but the fact that Mizzou plays 2 home games the second 2 months of the season.
Yep.
Starting after September 27th. No, sorry, October 11th. Alabama game on October 11th. They play 2 home games the rest of the season. One against Texas A&M, November 8th. One against Mississippi State, November 15th. And then 15th, that's senior day. That's a full 2 full weeks before the end of the season.
And homecoming is September 27th. So
which is the first time that it's ever been in September, at least in Mizzou history, according to any Mizzou historian that I've checked with so far, which have been 2. So it's just weird. It's weird. it could be worse. I mean, the schedule itself, it's the same teams in SEC wise that we played this past year, so that's not a surprise.
Let's run through it. You open with Central Arkansas. Okay, good. Then you get Kansas at home, September 6th. That's going to be a big one. September 13th, Louisiana, formerly known as UL Lafayette. They go by Louisiana now. It's the Raging Cajuns. Your first SEC game, South Carolina at home. Then you get UMass at home. Then that's the homecoming game we're talking about. Then you get Alabama. Then you're at the road for Auburn, on the road for Vanderbilt, home for Texas A&M on November 8th, at home for Mississippi State, which is senior day. That is November 15th. And then at Norman, Oklahoma the following week. And then close it out at Arkansas. Like that back half, that sucks. That sucks very badly.
Yeah. Really, the last, I mean, going on the road the last 2 weeks at Arkansas or at Oklahoma, then at Arkansas, that's really tough. Really, really tough. Other than that, though, I mean, at least it lines up where you're really tough. You're never playing more than 2 just absolute killer games in a row. You've got UMass, Kansas, that's a big game. Then you get a kind of theoretically a week off in Lafayette. Then you get South Carolina. Then you get a week off in UMass. Then you got Alabama. And then you get and you actually have a bye between there. So there's a bye week. This is another weird year where we have 2 bye weeks, which I love. I love having 2 bye weeks. That's great. A bye week between UMass and Alabama, which I think is really big, to give 2 weeks to prepare for that Alabama game. Then you play Alabama. Then you go at Auburn. They're going to be improved. They have to be improved from what they were this past year. And winning in Auburn is very difficult to begin with. But then you get at Vanderbilt, which hopefully will be easier than it was this year when they're Diego Pavia-less, but who knows? Then you're back up Texas A&M at home, tough. Take a step back again with Mississippi State at home, and then closing out at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. Who knows what Arkansas is going to be? Half their team is in the portal. Sam Pittman is coming back, but he may not be in that seat by that point of the season, so it's very hard to say what they're going to be. But we know playing in Norman is not going to be a cakewalk by any means.
Nope. Do you know? I'm actually asking because I don't. Do you know the last time Missouri won in Norman, Oklahoma?
Would it have been that year in the 90s they were horrible, or did we beat them here? It was like 96, 95? Because I think that was the previous, before we beat them in 2011, that was the last time we'd beaten them at all.
We don't beat them all that much. 98 was at home. That was Columbia.
Maybe that was the year that they were really
Then
bad.
we beat them in 2010. Beat them in 83 at home. Beat them in 81 at home.
In the late 60s would have been.
So Oklahoma forfeited in 1972. They won 17-6, but they had to forfeit in 72.
I'm going to say 69 or 60 would have been the only other years we would have beaten.
69, Missouri won in Columbia 44-10. 66, they won. 66, Norman 10-7.
There we go. There it is.
Vietnam
War. 1966. That will be 49 years. 59 years this next in 2025.
34 plus 25. Yep, no, 59.
Yeah. So
no pressure.
Why not?
Hey, Eli Drinkwitz has gotten all the other monkeys off Missouri's back. Why not this one, man?
Well, we got to beat Alabama, and then we'll have gotten all the monkeys off the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that will be fun. Well, let's start baby steps. We play Kansas September 6th. That's the one. Jalen Daniels will be back for them as their quarterback. He announced that. So
I'm good with that.
They'll be game. They will be a good team. They'll be better than their 5-7 record showed this year. So that'll be fun.
I mean, they beat 3 playoff ranked teams back to back to back.
And lost part of their
then lost. But that yeah. They're good.
It was Baylor's a good team this year. They similarly started slow and got hot late, so I wasn't necessarily ashamed to lose at Baylor, but this is kind of funny to win BYU and ruin BYU's season, ruin Colorado's season. Mm-hmm. Someone else, another ranked Iowa State, ruin Iowa State's season. No, they didn't really ruin it because Iowa State's still playing for the Big 12 championship, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. So interesting year. 6th Street, man. That's wild. First time that's ever happened. And you close it out with Bama at home. That's the end of the 6 weeks. Man. Well, we got plenty of time to go over it. I don't know why they release it now. I don't know. Number one, I don't know why they make it a TV show. But number two, if you're going to make it a TV show, why not do it in like January or,
Yeah, there's no reason why if you're planning out 8 months in advance versus 9 months in advance, that makes no difference. I mean, hotels are going to not open for reservations till March anyway, so what does it matter?
Whatever.
Yeah, they don't ask me. I would be more than willing to take the job as SEC scheduling guru for a paltry sum of like $500,000 a year.
Boy,
I'm cheaper than Greg Sankey. I'll do it. Hell, I'll do it for $200,000 a year.
What a deal. What a deal. He's negotiating against himself, folks.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's how much I care about this. I'm dedicated to the craft.
That's good. Oh, what a nightmare. Juggling 16 teams and all the random.
It's not an easy job. Not an easy job, but I feel like it could be done better.
And it can at least be released in a better way.
Yeah. Yes. At least they did it like all at once and not like 1 week. I could totally see the SEC trying to like each week at 6 p.m. we're going to announce a different week's schedule. So tune in every Tuesday night from now until June. Or slowly work our way through, reveal who's going to play who.
That is.
I don't want to. I shouldn't have spoken that into the ether because now someone's going to steal it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's all the news we got. Obviously, we got a couple more weeks before the bowl game is going to hit, but we're not going to share any more today because that's the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter at Matt and H. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hearst. And of course, you can follow the Rock Him flagship at Rock Him Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rock Him Radio. Or you can find us on Blue Sky if you like to mess around with that. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.